on the 21st of March 2026, we commemorated 66 years since the onslaught and the brutal murder of the innocent masses of our beloved country in South Africa. This was done despite the fact that they were unarmed. They were genuinely protesting against unfair and unjust treatment of the apartheid government, which prevented them of their fundamental and basic human rights by forcing them to carry passes whenever they go, which limited their freedom of movement. Speaker, this unjust and unfair and brutal onslaught against the innocent civilian did not deter us, but encouraged us to strengthen our war and wage a struggle to liberate the masses from the grips of the tyrannical and apartheid junta. Even in this house, Speaker, some of them are still amongst us. Boma rata helele ba ikentse dinku ka hara lekoko la phiri. I further wish to indicate, Honorable Speaker, that 3 days ago, South Africa celebrated 32 years since the dawn of democracy, and this year's Freedom Day was celebrated right here in Mangaung. Unfortunately, those, Honorable Speaker, who are saying they are part of the government of national unity, they could not even attend this important activity. Yeah. You ask yourself to say, what kind of leaders are they? When South Africa is celebrating the most important day, they are nowhere. But come the elections, you'll see them running in our locations like the headless chickens. I further wish to indicate, Honorable Speaker, that the movement of the people, this celebration was done right here in Mangaung, the birthplace of the African National Congress, the revolutionary movement of the people, wherein communities of Mangaung or of this city went out in numbers to listen to the state president, His Excellency Honorable Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa. Despite the weather, we really wish to appreciate and congratulate those who attended in big numbers. Many people thought that event would fail, but it became a success. Speaker, encouraged by and motivated by our pillars of struggle, our people were ultimately liberated from the bondage of apartheid. This council should be reminded that it is only through the government of the ANC and our much celebrated constitution that we promoted and fulfilled the right of our people. Importantly, that includes the progressive prioritization and provision of basic services such as water and sanitation. And to date, Speaker, our people still enjoys and treated with respect and humility. No one, Speaker, can claim that except the African National Congress as the leader of the society and a better placed to champion the interest of our people. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, I also wish to congratulate COSATU for continuing to champion the interest of the working class. And we say to all workers of Mangaung, workers of the Free State, and workers of our country, South Africa, indeed, an injury to one is an injury to all. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. That concludes our...
Mr. Speaker.
Oh, Councillor Mhlakaza, I'm sorry for that. But our IT, we are still off. I'm told we are on and off. We've been off for the past 20 minutes or so.
You have to clear it.
All right, you may proceed, Councillor.
Thanks for the opportunity, Speaker. Greetings, Speaker, and I must rise on the protocol as established before this August House. Speaker, I rise to congratulate the Democratic Alliance for hosting its Federal Congress on the 11th and 12th of April 2026, where on the election of its top 10, 8 of the leaders on such elections are younger than the ages of 40 years. To me, the Democratic Alliance is alive on the fact that on the population of this country, 60% of such population are young people. And such a population must be taken care of. That is why the Democratic Alliance in its leadership, it has elected such young leaders so that people with new ideas and new vision in turning around the crisis of this country can take over. And in light of that, Speaker, I will align that with what your long-serving President Oliver Richard Tambo said, when he says that any country that does not invest on its young people, that country is doomed and it does not deserve its future. So in light of such, Speaker, the other political parties, regardless of how do they hate Democratic Alliance, but I think they can learn something, Speaker, because in electing the leadership, it has nothing to do with your age, but it has nothing to do with the skills and the capabilities that you possess as an individual. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. That concludes our speakers on this point. No, Councillor Mwale, your hand is not up. I also wish to congratulate Councillor Marike Davis, who has since submitted a resignation as a councillor, a PR councillor to this municipality. Councillor Davis has served the municipality with diligence, professionalism, and a steadfast commitment to the principles of accountable governance. In her capacity as former Speaker of Council, she carried the responsibility of safeguarding the integrity of Council processes with distinction, ensuring that deliberations were conducted with order, fairness, and respect for democratic norms. Her contribution extended beyond Speaker's office into various Council committees where she applied her insight, discipline, and dedication to advancing the work of Council in the interests of the people of Mangaung. On behalf of this municipality, we express our deepest appreciation for her service and the meaningful role she has played in strengthening this institution. We wish Councillor Davis well in her future endeavors and trust that the experience and commitment to public service will continue to find expression wherever she may serve. Councillors, thank you very much. That concludes our discussion on item 5.4. May we now proceed to confirmation of minutes. There's only one set of minutes here, a special council meeting of the 28th August 2025. Is there anyone who would want to move for the adoption, confirmation of those minutes? Councillor Mohono will be followed by Councillor Nyapo.
I move for the confirmation of the minutes, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. Oh, Councillor Likweli, man.
Thank you, Speaker. I second Councillor Mohono for adoption of the minutes of the 28th August 2025. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Likweli. May I now see hands of those in support of the move to adopt and confirm the minutes as a true reflection of the discussions on that specific date? Thank you very much. The House is unanimous. May I then proceed to item 5.6, which is disclosure of interest. That item has been dealt with administratively. May we therefore skip item 5.7, 57, and proceed to item 58, which are the reports of the Executive Mayor, Deputy Executive Mayor. May I now acknowledge you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Council Whip, Honorable MMCs, Chairperson of Section 79, Honorable Councillors, Administrative Team,
people of Mangaung, media houses presence here. Honorable Speaker, allow me to present to this council the following reports that are for noting in this agenda. Item 5.1, 58.1, 58.2, 58.3, 58.4, and 58.7. Those are the items, Honorable Speaker. When we were adopting the agenda, I mentioned that are the items that will be discussed in this council, and other items will follow in the next special meeting that you already alluded. Honorable Speaker, without taking much of council time, honorable councillors, we are now concluding month 10 of the financial year 2025-2026, and I would like to make few highlights from the critical reports I'm tabling this morning. In respect of SDBIP, we have noted a very conservative performance across all votes. This performance is in the main impact upon by the performance on the capital budget and the progress in the executing the procurement plan. There is interdependence between budget progress and achieving set targets, all measures against the execution of the procurement plan. Though the SCM quarterly report indicate high performance and compliance in HCM and bid committees, the shortcomings are clear in the SDBIP reports. In as far as the budget performance, Honorable Speaker, there is a big improvement in the manner the budget has performed. Though revenue is below the target by 4% due to trading services performing below the target, it is promising that the annual revenue target will be reached, with the high risk lying with trading services, which all performed below the year-to-date budget, with the exception of waste management, which exceeded the budget by 8%. However, the full year forecast push it is to make sure that we reach our targets. We are now in the winter month, and winter season tariffs will apply, boosting sales in this regard. On expenditure, we are below the target overall. This is a good indication that unauthorized expenditure will be lesser compared to the other years. Exception should be made when dealing with individual expenditure by type, where the culprit over time remain a challenge in our city. Honorable Speaker, the capital budget target for Q3 is 70%, and overall performance of conditional grant, which constitutes 75% of the total CAPEX, performed below target by about 13%. This percentage is stretched down by IPTN, which is still sitting at 3.83% to date, and USDFG, which is 6.31% to date. Standing alone, USDG is sitting at the 60.67%, while ISUPG is standing to 53.84%. This is a red flag, and I applaud Section 80 Committee, especially technical and human settlement, to exercise oversight on CAPEX implementation and intervene in the space finance, look at spending and report accordingly without looking at root cause, but procurement plan tell us the story. We have since launched Operation Patala. We urge all people to pay their account. It's your municipality, it's your bill, and at the heart of it all, We need consistent, reliable and affordability services. Though the collection rates remain below the target due to external factors associated with socio-economic issues, such as poverty, unemployment, and inequality, we are aware that most household depends on social grants. Let's come forward and make a payment. It is the best you can do. On SCM quarterly, third quarter report, the following, it's noted, honorable councillors. First one is performing of bid committees. The second one is progress in implementing procurement based on awards made. Number 3, contract management report in general. Point 4, promotion of local economic through bid awarded to companies in Free State and particularly here in Mangaung. In terms and conditions of our bid are clear, especially bid over 10 million. The submission of financial statement, the process will be vigorous in evaluating bidder capacity without disadvantaging small businesses. But by now, we know that the SMM is and their values in creating local jobs. I request that job opportunities created per tender awarded be tagged and reported as part of this report, and a detailed report to be presented quarter to Economic Development Committee for oversight. Bidders are required to appoint graduates on internship, apprentice, and this is a costed budget, and this was not measured and reported on mandatorily in consultants' report and tracked and report to the council. Honorable Speaker, I presented this report in accordance with the recommendation made for each of these items. And I want to emphasize, honorable councillors, in terms of the running of the IDP performance and budget public participation. In reality, we had it in this council today because of the petition of the Democratic Alliance. They're not attending the public participation. I just want to inform the community of Mangaung. Maybe their petition indicated that they are not going to attend public participation. How can you correct the rates if you are not attending the public participation? Because the process is not yet finalized. In May, it's where we'll be tabling the final IDP and performance management and the budget. But we are already talking, we are already ensuing what is the document or what is the people of Mangaung are saying in terms of those documents. Let's attend those meetings. It's very important when we represent a certain political party, but we must report correctly and say, whatever that is happening, we did say it in the public participation, but you are coming here in the council, you are talking about the process that is not yet been concluded, and then you want to be heard. But I want to indicate to the community of Mangaung, they are not attending those public participation. We are left with two sets of the public participation. We hope that the Democratic Alliance, they will attend those public meetings so they can voice their people in front of the community, the same community that they voted for them. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. That's my submission in terms of the items in this council. Thank you very much.
May I now invite hands of those who would want to speak on these items. May I also draw your attention to the fact that these items mostly are for noting. And you may proceed, Councillor.
Thank you, Speaker.
On what item would you want to speak on?
This is, of course, 58.1, the noted the document now presented.
Okay.
Can I continue? Or
No, just a minute. Councillor Chart, you want to speak on this item as well? Yes. No, I'm still taking hands. Yeah, for 58.1. Councillor Mongale.
No, Speaker, I'm gonna speak on all of them. On all the items that the mayor, deputy mayor has presented.
Okay, Councillor Mongale. Councillor Vivier. Item 1. Councillor Botman.
Thank you, Speaker. Speak on items 82.2, 82.3, 82.4, and 82.7.
No, Councillor, you are confusing me. We are on item 58. So,
Correction 58.2, 58.3, 58.4, and 58.7.
Councillor Viviers.
58.2, please, Speaker.
Councillor Coates.
sorry, Speaker, I will also be speaking on 58.7.
Councillor Musala.
Thank you, Speaker. I'll be speaking on 58.1.
Councillor Peter.
On item 58.4, Speaker.
Councillor Vivier.
I'll be speaking on item 58.3, Speaker.
Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I will draw items 58.2 as well as 58.7.
Councillor Coates.
Thank you, Speaker. I will draw item 58.3.
That concludes our list of speakers. May I now proceed with item 1, Councillor Coates? Your 5 minutes. All right, we are on item 7. Okay. Am I missing out any hand? Councillor Swartz.
Thank you, Speaker. Point number 8, 58.8.
50.8.8 has been deferred, Councillor.
I withdraw.
Oh, okay. Let me now acknowledge Councillor Coates. You may proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. Of course, we will be submitting these questions in a formal way through Rule 38 questions, even though we have more than 60 Rule 38 questions that have not been answered in the past 3 or 4 years. So the questions that I do want to submit, so Q3 SDBIP report indicates that overall municipal performance declined to 59%, reflecting a 10% drop from Q2, with 20% of indicators rated as unacceptable. Why has council been requested to just note this? Where is the intervention recovery? Where's that information? Of the 154 KPIs identified in Q3, 29 were classified as unacceptable performance. Can a full list of these KPIs be provided, including the responsible departments, project managers, and heads of department accountable for each? Given that the report reflects repeated underperformance across departments with vague or absent corrective measures, what specific instructions were issued by the city manager to enforce meaningful corrective action, and on what dates? The report reflects the water and sanitation achieved only 37.49 capital expenditure against 67 Q3 target. What are the exact projects contributing to this 29.51% variance, and what are the current implementation statuses? Roads and stormwater recorded capital expenditure of 61.46%, operating expenditure of only 49% against a 75% target. Which specific officials are responsible for the delayed payments and contractor appointments, and what consequence management has been implemented? The finance section indicates that 12.5% of tenders were cancelled due to lack of available funds. Why were procurement processes initiated without confirmed funding, and which departments authorized these tenders in contravention of sound financial planning? The report shows that only 9% of total capital expenditure was directed towards renewal and upgrading of existing assets against 35% target. What is the municipality's current asset renewal backlog, and how does the executive justify continued underinvestment in infrastructure maintenance? Water and sanitation performance stands at 57%, with both water and wastewater services recording negative financial margins of negative 10%. What immediate steps are being taken to restore financial sustainability? The report confirms that only 77% of water connections are metered below the 84% target, while leakage performance was not reported for the quarter. How can the municipality credibly manage water losses without full metering and complete leakage data? Bulk water infrastructure projects, including bulk meters and valve refurbishment, failed to meet targets due to contractors reaching contract ceilings. Why were these contracts not renewed or extended in time, and who is accountable for this failure? The report notes issues at wastewater treatment facilities due to faulty flow meters and inconsistent readings. What is the current compliance status of all wastewater treatment plants, and what risk does this pose to the environment and public health? The municipality reports high performance in responding to water and sanitation call-outs, according to them above 90%, yet provides no raw data. Can the executive provide the total of number of complaints resolved, reopened, and outstanding per ward? The report claims 70% of pothole complaints were resolved with response time, within response time. I mean, this is just a joke. Exceeding the 30% target. What is the definition of resolved? And how many of these cases were just physically repaired or versus administratively closed? Despite widespread underperformance, the report does not identify any individual officials responsible. Which specific officials are responsible, and what steps will be taken? The report confirms that authenticity letters were signed by both the heads of department and MMCs verifying the report data. What accountable mechanisms are triggered when these signed reports reflect persistent underperformance? Given consistent patterns of declining performance, capital underspending, weak corrective measures, and absence of consequence management, does the executive intend to table a formal time-bound performance recovery plan for council consideration? If not, why not?
Thank you,
It's clear
Councillor.
that
Your
the
time
report is a false flag.
Councillor Chart.
Thank you, Speaker. Since we are not being allowed to debate or discuss service delivery in Mangaung Council, I will just list 5 questions. Last council meeting, I listed 20 questions and I haven't received a response on any of them. I hope I will get responses today on these questions. It touches on what my colleague mentioned, but Speaker, the report states that overall municipal performance is at 59% and declined by 10% from Q2. Can the Executive Mayor explain what specific management interventions failed to prevent this decline? Have there been any specific management interventions, or did they not deem it necessary? And why should Council have the confidence in the current performance management system if this is the case? Then, through you, Speaker, how does the city justify KPIs where annual targets are already achieved earlier in the year, yet still contribute to performance scoring in Q3? And what steps will be taken to ensure indicators reflect continuous service delivery rather than once-off achievements? Third question. Can the Executive Mayor confirm how the results of the SDBIP are formally linked to the performance agreements of the municipal manager and senior managers, particularly how the 29 KPIs rated as unacceptable performance translate into consequence management for performance management? Speaker, the report indicates that only 53% of informal settlements received waste removal services against the 65% target, with reasons given as lack of fleet, fuel and staff. As we speak, we are going into the long weekend with 50,000 households not removed yet, due to a 2 full day strike on Wednesday and Thursday due to unpaid overtime disputes, which has now been happening for years. It's foreseeable. What are the funded and time-bound recovery plan to ensure residents receive basic refuse removal services? On electricity, Speaker, the report shows that the restoration of electricity outages is just below the required 98% standard, with performance as low as 86%. What immediate interventions are being implemented to reduce the prolonged outages experienced by residents? And then a second part of this question. Independent mass data from residents indicates that outages are lasting on average over 12 hours, with more than 60% of outages exceeding 8 hours. Can the Executive Mayor explain this discrepancy and confirm what the actual measured average outage duration is across Mangaung? Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Mugale.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Dr. Mathae. Maybe I need to confirm that I've been assured that you are a doctor when I saw you at a university with other doctors and professors. So you are not part of those that their qualifications are questionable, that have appeared on television. It was on a lighter note. On a serious note, Speaker, I've checked the SDBIP. I've seen that on the departmental performance overview, it gives a hope that there is a good performance. The problem is when you go to the streets and try to relate what is in the document and what is in the streets, they talk opposite. Even when you can go to any community and ask them, you'll realize the morale of the community is low because they are not happy with the kind of service that we're giving them. But on the document, it seems like we are performing well. The question is, what is that we are doing that is not related to fixing the challenges that the community is faced with. Remember, Mangaun that is functioning well will attract investors. And we need investors to grow our economy so that we can move from rescue phase to another level, where ultimately we will be able to be removed from Section 139 subsection 7. Now, the other challenge is that on this document, I've seen that on page 11, it talks about some of the issues that have been done, especially the high mast. When you check the high mast made to Amona, it says that the high mast that have been given to, actually, that have been planted to the community, they are 30 out of 40. And the budget that was put it is 33 million. The question is how much is left out of that budget? Because it was supposed to be budgeted 33 million. It means 33 million when it is fully consumed, 40 high masts should have been mounted or planted. But another challenge is, do we have a master plan as a municipality, even Cllr, to make sure that the high mast don't become a permanency? Remember, high mast is a temporary measure up until you put the street lights. In some of the middle class, like Blue Manda, the high mast have become a permanent feature, even though it was supposed to be under street lights and unicoms, given the nature of the level of the people that are living there. And some of the oldest townships are also still having high mast, while they should at least by now having street lights. And we seem not to be having a problem with high mast, and high mast cause light pollution. Cllr knows what I'm talking about. Electricians knows what I'm talking about, and engineers. And these are the things that needs to be fixed by the municipality. The issue of air quality, we seems to have budgeted 4 million, but we have not met our target, which is also a problem. Why are we unable to meet our target? Refuse removal. On refuse removal, it's like piki mabelani. Serai fiki stick under Mrs. Makevichi Pitoria. Before le refa the service, how can you go out tomorrow? Then regularly recipient piki in favor this week. Because the watch ones are to a cutting. Now, argument that's already this sound valid, but the question is, how did we get there? How did we get to a situation whereby there is no diesel when it was budgeted for? Shortage of staff for refuse removal is a problem. There is a problem of Nelly's view that we have been talking about, but there seems to be the symmetry part. No one is talking, helping us. After Nathan swimming pool, no one is coming to our rescue. And other conditional grants that I've been complaining about, that if conditional grants are not spent, it's going to be a problem. Even Auditor General complained about them, but there seems to be no passion in terms of addressing those issues. Okay, no, it's fine. I will not disrupt the program of the speaker. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Councillor Mungale. Councillor Vivier.
Honourable Speaker, the Service Delivery and Budget Implementation Plan is not just another compliance document. It is the instrument this Council uses to ensure that the promises in the IDP and the budget are usually delivered to our residents. In terms of Section 52D of the MFMA, this report must give a clear and honest account of performance. And frankly, this Q3 report raises serious concerns. Overall performance has dropped to 59% down from 69% in Q2. This is not a marginal dip, it is a clear regression. While 73 KPIs are rated as fully effective, we still have 59 indicators that are either not fully effective or outright unacceptable. that reflects real service delivery failures on the ground. Let me raise a few critical issues. Firstly, roads. Not a single kilometre of new road was delivered in Q3 against a target of 4.1 kilometre. That is complete failure. What exactly is delaying implementation? What action has been taken against the contractor, and when will residents actually see progress? Secondly, ward coverage. The report reflects detailed progress in only 11 wards. What about the remaining wards? Residents across Mangaung deserve equal transparency. Can we please get a full ward-by-ward breakdown of roads, water and sanitation projects? Thirdly, expenditure. Both capital and operating expenditure are lagging behind. This raises a serious risk. Are we heading toward rushing spending in Q4, just meet targets? And if so, how will we prevent irregular or wasteful expenditure? Fourth, basic services. Bus punctuality is sitting at 71% against a target of 80%, and wastewater treatment is below standard. These are not minor issues. They directly affect residents' daily lives and potentially their health. What are the root causes and what immediate effective actions are in place? Lastly, accountability. Too many corrective measures in this report are vague. Phrases like fast-tracked and issue notices are not plans. This council needs clear, time-bound actions with named accountability. Honourable Speaker, our residents are not measuring us on reports. They are measuring us whether roads are built, services function and commitments are honoured. At 59% performance, we are falling short. We need answers and, more importantly, we need results. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Msala.
Honourable Speaker, Executive Mayor in absentia, DEM, Mayoral Committee, Councillors and the community of Mangaung. One of the important objects of local government is to ensure the provision of services to communities in a sustainable manner. I want to speak directly about our recent performance on provision of service. Section 52D is an important tool for the mayor to track performance on the implementation of the budget. The report submitted by Executive Mayor for noting is sending us a clear signal. In previous quarters, we maintained a steady upwards performance level up to 69%. However, the third quarter figures show a 10% decline. While 10% might sound like a small number in isolation, in the context of service provision, it represents a significant gap in our promise to our stakeholders and communities. This is not just about percentages on a report. It's about reputation and reliability. A drop of this magnitude suggests that we are performing less frequently than we were just a few months ago. This cannot go unnoticed. This creates a compounding effect, lower satisfaction, which leads to increased complaints, which further strains our very limited resources and creates a cycle of reactive rather than proactive work. This is evidence following the IDP and budget public participation on concerns raised. While we note this report as submitted by Executive Mayor, I therefore urge this Council and administration to expedite the backlogs identified, strengthen internal processes, and accountability should prevail. As the committee responsible for IDP and OPM, normalization of poor performance is not acceptable. Hence, the upcoming performance assessment of the city manager and the HODs will conduct a deep dive into the specific areas where the 10% drop is most acute. Our goal is not just to get back to 69%, but to use this recovery phase to build a more resilient systems that surpasses our performance, our previous performances. Speaker, the Executive Mayor is obligated to submit a quarterly report to the Council on budget implementation, and the municipality's financial state of affairs within 30 days of each quarter end, as per section 52D of the MFMA, for noting and on the prescribed format by relevant treasuries. Post extensive benchmarking exercises with other metropolitan cities, and through analysis regarding the submission of this report, it is important to note that moving forward, the EM will be submitting this report for noting and not for approval. This provides an opportunity to effect any corrections that will be necessary post-extensive internal audit report on the audit of performance information for a particular quarter, as well as an oversight by different council committees in preparation for the compilation of an annual report. This report serves as a key tool for council oversight, covering financial performance, revenue and expenditure, and non-financial performance. Following the recent audit by the AG on performance information and its improvement, this approach can only propel us in the right direction for a further improved audit outcome, hence the emphasis of council cognizance to this report. Speaker, in trying to respond to some of the questions that were raised by our fellow councillors, the good thing is that Councillor Jart attended our Section 80 meeting, and some of the questions that he asked were responded to in the Section 80. I'm surprised to see him or to hear him raising the same questions again. I'm not sure if he wants to grandstand or what. But, Speaker, I must indicate that we are busy as the department with recovery of the unacceptable performance. And our EMT has taken corrective action to deal with the issues that are raised in this council today. The EMT also went further to discuss about the slow spending as well as procurement plans submitted by SCM. And they took resolutions as the EMT and agreed on the timeframes for implementation of those resolutions. The performance management system, it must also be noted that it will be automated in the next financial year as per the discussions between the IDP, IT, and CFO. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Musala. That concludes our debates on this item. May I invite the Deputy Executive Mayor to reply, noting that the item is only for noting.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we received the questions that were raised by the councillors, and we'll deal with those questions. But what I wanted just to emphasize is that, Honorable Speaker, the SDIP is a tool of our performance. It's a monitoring tool for the institution. And they are coming here to give us a report. And we are also trying, Honorable Speaker, to respond to outcome of the Auditor General when he was saying to us, that our performance is 45, and in terms of our spending, we are 110. If we can check both of the reports now in this council meeting, is talking the two things. We're talking about the performance on the votes and the performance down there. Now, that is why we're coming here in the council to show the council that we are working on it. The executive mayor is working on it, and say, Department of Performance Management, can you please deal with this matter in this way? That is why you'll find out that we always have a joint Section 80 meeting with the Department of IDP and Performance, because we want to see whether what are we dealing with. We are dealing with one thing. That is why you'll find out now most of the people are crying of the way finance is dealing with matters. Before it can pay this time, it's going down there and check whether the claim of the person is talking about the performance that is happening, because the tools will come in the council and says, in terms of the target, we didn't reach the target that we wanted to reach. And the emphasis in terms of the procurement plan, that since we're talking in terms of both of these departments, that different departments, they must make sure that they implement the procurement plan the way they submitted to us. Remember, both departments, finance and both ITP, they are consolidating reports that are receiving from the departments. It's not the report that they sit down and figure how is the department performing. And this instance, honorable councillors, the department reported the true reflection of what is happening. And they also put their reason how they want us to make sure that we monitor the mitigation process that they are going to implement in those departments. Now, we are really, honorable councillors, bringing this both reports because of that. But we did really note the questions that are raised by the honorable councillors, which will sit down as different departments and advise the user department that how they are supposed to strengthen the implementation of the mitigations of the matters that were raised by the council. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy Executive Mayor. That concludes our debates, councillors, on this item. Perhaps DM and Council Whip, it would be prudent if you were to advise the mayor to set up a committee of about 4 or 5 people representing each department, which can respond to Rule 38 questions. Because honestly, for councillors to always complain that their Rule 38 questions have not been responded to, it's a concerning matter. I just take it that those officials representing different departments, if they are seconded to a committee that normally and quite frequently convenes to look at the questions and prepare a report on behalf of the city manager, so that at least in between the 2 months period, we are able to respond sufficiently to all the Rule 38 questions, other than having to wait for more than 3 months, at times more than 5 months, with outstanding Rule 38 questions. Maybe you can look at that in your next RECA meeting. That concludes our discussions, councillors, on this item. The council note the quarterly performance report on the implementation of the budget and the financial affairs of the municipality for the year to date and the quarter ending 31st March 2026, and that council note that the report will be published on the municipal website and be submitted to the National Treasury. May we proceed to the next item, which is item 58.2. Councillor Mungale.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Dr. Mathae. Speaker, on the challenge of this item 58.2, which is the Municipal Finance MFMA Preliminary Budget and Performance Assessment Report of the MFMA, Section 52D, for the quarter ending 31st March 2026. I have the following concerns. The first concern is the one that deals with electricity, where it shows that the reason why the situation is unfavorable, it is because they budgeted with an anticipation that the consumption will be at this particular level, but the consumption was lower. The issue here is whether was the consumption lower or was there a tempering of electricity? Because sometimes you say consumption is low because you are looking at the figures, but you are not looking at the actual consumption, whether was the electricity used less than the way it was anticipated. Here it's a big problem. Another one that is a headache. This one I'm raising it with Deputy Mayor because I saw you had passion for it. That is why I keep on, when I ask it, I always look at you, not even the Executive Mayor, on the issue of water losses, the issue of Mangaung Partnership with Development Bank of South Africa, DBSA. Where is that partnership? Because we shouldn't be talking about leakages at this time. Because if we have 48% leakages, that tells us that we are losing millions out of this process. I'm aware that our debt with Val Central is getting better, but we could have done better than that. If we could have closed the leakages, it could have been better than that. And we appreciate where there is progress. On the service charges, I cannot say much except to say we need to look at even the issue of water, because there was this concern that it looked like municipalities wants to move with a speed of a lightning in trying to address the challenges with regard to mass sport or wastewater treatment works. And that progress, we need to monitor, because I know in your document it says 95%. I've seen it. The issue here is, why is there 5% that is not yet finalized? Because we are sitting with a crisis that needs to be fixed so that municipality must start to have a lifeline. On the issue of rental from fixed asset, I will also plead with the municipality to say, you can't let Brandwag flats to remain a white elephant, because we seem not to be getting progress with regard to that. And we can't keep on complaining about one thing over and over. We are getting old in terms of repeating things. Let us see progress. Let us see progress. With this one of fines, it reminded me of the functions that the municipality has failed to cease from the Lengau testing center. There are functions that falls under Mangaung Metro, that Metro should have taken them. And those functions would assist Mangaung in terms of financial sustainability. You can't be blackmailed. You need to collect those functions. On the issue of debt of the province and national, I can't be always saying, I sound like a scratch CD, I'm gonna sound like a scratch CD, there is this money that is owed by provincial government and national government. It's not fun. It's money that must assist the municipality to have a lifeline, to be sustainable. We can't be at the rescue phase when other people that should support us, they are not even playing their part in terms of supporting the municipality. The issue of unspent grants, that one request of balance complain again. I get to be capable sustain salary rona. Let's get a whole salary spending. It's not a joke. The risk factor, the fruitless and wasteful expenditure of 30 million is unacceptable. It's unacceptable to this ailing municipality. We can't take it for granted. The issue that I've raised, that we should explore other mechanisms of avoiding over-dependency on this fuel or traditional fuel of diesel, having electric trucks and buses. It will help us a long way in terms of saving costs for this beautiful metro. Or else we'll be sitting with a crisis. And lastly is the issue of security services that is at 85 million. That was budgeted 85, but we overspent 5 million. It's unacceptable.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Time is our biggest enemy.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Botma.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, for you to the Deputy Mayor. We had our financial Section 80 committee, and we were well-presented item and well-prepared item as well. We did ask questions, but we just need to have a few questions on record. Firstly, the revenue performance and collection failure. We have an under-collection of 314 million. What specific corrective actions have been implemented to address this? Do we not include this in the financial recovery plan and make it a priority? Second, electricity revenue shows 452.7 million shortfall. Is this inefficiency in billing, metering, or illegal connections, or just lower consumption? The collection rate of 73.39 is far below the 95 norm. When will the municipality realistically reach a sustainable collection benchmark? The report highlights 11.3 billion in outstanding debtors, with 7.9 billion for more than 9 months, more than 1 year. What percentage of this debt is realistically recoverable? Can we not have a credible debt collection strategy on this? Amount of 2.8 billion was written off as irrecoverable debt. It's now indicated to us that this is a balance sheet item. The accumulated surplus, will that now be affected? Expenditure and control of expenditure. This is overspending of employee-related cost of 78 million. And we have an overtime of 72 million. So if it wasn't for that overspending of overtime, we would have actually been. Why has management failed to control overtime despite knowledge in the budget of the constraints? Has any disciplinary action been taken? Interest cost is 302 over the budget due to court cases. What has been done to prevent unavoidable litigation costs? Fruitless and wasteful expenditure stands at 30 billion. Can council receive a detailed breakdown? 9, the report indicates projected overspending on legal services and security contracts. Why are these overruns predictable but not prevented? And where are these contracted properly procured and managed? The capital budget is only 47.25% of the 75% target. Question is, how does this impact on service delivery in water, sanitation and roads? On the major grants, it's the public transport infrastructure is only 3.682%. Urban development financial grants 6.31%. Is the municipality at risk of losing these grants? What consequence management exist to persist their underperformance by the directorates? Liquidity, the current ratio is 0.91%, the liquidity ratio is 0.73%. We cannot meet our short-term obligations. How close are we to a cash flow crisis? Creditors, we have the questions are suppliers at risk of non-payment because there is a 90-day period of payment. Despite the reporting of 2.1 billion in cash investments, the municipality cannot meet obligations. Is this cash fully committed or restricted? Is liquidity overstated? The infrastructure losses and operational inefficiencies, electricity losses of 163 million. What concrete interventions are in place to reduce illegal connections? Water losses 48.6. What's the financial impact on bulk water costs? The billing corrections for properties is not on the sewer system. When is this going to be corrected? Governance compliance. There's late invoicing, timing differences, appointment issues. Is this not indicated of financial mismanagement? I have 1 minute. Because I have a proposal. In terms of our oversight responsibilities as council and guided by Provincial Municipal Management Act, it is incumbent upon us to ensure that these measures are taken and not only interrogated. So I therefore propose that the concerns and questions raised in this report be formally referred to National Treasury for consideration, guidance, and where deemed necessary, further intervention in supporting of strengthening financial governance within the municipality. That such referral be made through the appropriate channels, including the Office of the Speaker and the Municipal Manager, to ensure compliance with legislation. And then, lastly, that the report be tabled back to Council with the responsible time frame. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Botma. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. All protocols observed. While this report provides a technical overview of the finances, it simultaneously highlights several major financial risk factors that threaten the very stability of this metro. The Freedom Front Plus therefore seeks clarity on some of these issues. Distribution losses. Electricity distribution losses for the quarter amounted to 163 million rand. Of these, 54 million rand is attributed to non-technical losses, essentially theft, tampering, and administrative errors. Furthermore, our water losses sit at a staggering 48.6%. With nearly half of our water disappearing before it reaches our paying customers and over 54 million in electricity stolen or unbilled this quarter alone, what specific time-bound metering and enforcement interventions are being implemented to reduce these losses? Are the basic service charges for water being utilized for maintenance of our water system, or is it being used to pay the full water account? How many of the 18 strategies set out in the Water Conservation Demand Management Strategy of 2022 have been implemented seeing that after nearly 4 years of this plan, our water losses actually increased from 46 to 48%. Unauthorized overtime, the report shows a massive unfavorable variance of 72 million in overtime spending, with actual expenditure reaching 136 million rand against a year-to-date budget of 63 million rand. We are told this is due to vacant positions, yet we see that employee-related costs overall are already 78 million rand over the budget. If the overspending is due to vacancies, why are the savings from those unfilled basic salaries not fully offsetting the overtime cost? Furthermore, how does management justify 30.4 million in fruitless and wasteful expenditure related to interest on late payments and court orders, while we claim we lack the funds to fill critical service delivery posts? On liquidity, our current ratio stands at 0.91 and our liquidity ratio at 0.73, both of which are significantly below the healthy norm of 1.5 to 2.1. This is fueled by an outstanding debtors book of 11.3 billion, of which 7.9 billion is more than a year old. Simultaneously, our creditors have ballooned to 1.6 billion. What are the long-term plans to improve our collection rate, standing at 73.3%, far below the 95% target? With our creditors' payment period now at 90 days, triple the legislative requirement of 30 days, what is a realistic plan that will be put in place to pay our creditors within 30 days? Perhaps most concerning is our residents is a capital expenditure is currently only at 47.2% implementation. Why is there 367 million variance in capital spending when our communities are desperate for infrastructure? If the project management unit is a solution, as the report suggests, why has it not been corrected the slow uptake of these projects? To the city manager, when will you table a report from this unit regarding their activities or lack thereof before this council? Finally, the report warns of expected overspending on legal cost of 12.4 million and on security services of 5.7. In conclusion, Honourable Speaker, is a financial recovery plan working, or is it poor financial discipline and a lack of implementation of this plan that put the Metro in this current financial situation? These are not merely numbers, Honourable Speaker. They are indicators of a Metro under severe financial distress. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Viviers.
Honourable Speaker, through you, the Executive Mayor, I will send Rule 38 questions. As the political leader of this council, what are you going to do regarding the capital expenditure budget that is only spent at 47.25% with only 2 months to go? What are you going to do regarding the National Treasury grants that is only spent at 46.3% with 2 months to go? What are you going to do about the outstanding debtors standing on over 11.3 billion with 7.9 billion older than a year? What are you going to do about the municipality's third-party debt collectors collecting less than 1% of the debt that were allocated to them to collect? What are you going to do regarding 48.6% of water losses? What are you going to do about the fact that Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality will take 3 months before we pay creditors? What are you going to do so that the city can pay for its current and short-term obligations? What are you going to do about the collection rate only standing at 73.39%, where it should be 95%? What are you going to do about the overtime now already overspent at 72.7 million? Through you, Honourable Speaker, Executive Mayor, you have taken office already in 2023. What have you achieved taking the Metro forward in 3 years? Please don't hide behind the MMCs and administration again today. I'm asking what you have done to salvage the dire financial situation of the Metro. Let me explain why it is your responsibility. The MFMA under budgetary control and early identification of financial problems under section 54.1, (1), the mayor must then D, issue any appropriate instructions to the accounting officer to ensure Roman figure 1, that the budget is implemented in accordance with the service delivery and budget implementation plan, and 2, Roman figure 2, that spending of funds and revenue collection proceed in accordance with the budget. What appropriate instructions have you issued to the accounting officer? Have you ever issued any instructions in this regard to the municipal manager? Have you ever kept him accountable? Have you ever implemented any accountability or consequence management or disciplinary measures towards him? The Municipal Structures Act, under the functions and powers of executive mayors, section 56, (3), C, and then Roman figures 2 mentioned, the executive mayor is performing the duties of office, must review the performance of the municipality in order to improve the efficiency of credit control and revenue and debt collection services. What are you doing about the efficiency of credit control and revenue and debt collection services? Your time is up, Executive Mayor, and nothing to show after 3 years. Shape up or ship out. In all honesty, you don't have enough time to turn the ship around, especially after doing nothing for 3 years. In conclusion, through you, Honourable Speaker, MMC of Finance and the CFO, thank you for a credible report. I second the proposal that was made by my colleague, Councillor Frans Botman. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Viviers. What are you going to do if I give you one more extra minute?
I was trying my best to be within time, and I'm not like other people using all the time.
That concludes our debates on this item. Deputy Executive Mayor, you may reply.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'm happy because Honorable Vivier indicated that these are the questions that will be submitted in the Office of the Executive Mayor, and it will be responded as such. And I'm also happy that the members of the Section 8 indicated that some of the issues that they raise here, we discussed them in length in the Section 80, and they just want to emphasize questions that they asked, but they did receive responses to the Section 80. What Speaker just I wanted to emphasize is the issue of the outages. Duration depends on the nature of fault and the externals of demands in terms of the electricity issues, because we are also talking about it and indicate that the revenue is unfavorable due to the decline patterns in consumptions of customers. That is why we're indicating that we are approaching a winter month, which definitely in terms of the consumptions of the electricity will also increase in terms of the percentage of the monies that needed to be charged to our people, which is it's not only happening in Cllr, it's also happening to those municipalities and those areas that are serviced Telkom. However, to salvage this is not ventured into the renewable energy market to remain relevant and give the community of Mangaung access to basic energy services is what we are doing. And we must also include the issue of the base water issue where our electricity substation was bent down, which is definitely will end up using the extra money that we didn't budget for. Now, that is the true reflections that we wanted to say, and definitely because, Honorable Speaker, we want to make sure that the community of Mangaung really, they have an access and they also benefit to the monies that we have in this city, even if it's so limited. That is why we encourage the communities that we have a new system of indigent register, and we are requesting them, those who are unable to pay or unable to do anything, to start going to all our offices and register for them to benefit to this subsidy that we receive from the equitable share from the national department. That is what I wanted to say, but we had the honorable councillors. I'm happy because these times political parties, they gave members of the Section 8 of Finance to really emphasize, but definitely we'll go back as the team of Section 8 of Finance and sit down and really discuss more and advise the executive mayor correctly and this council correctly. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, DM. That concludes our discussion on this item. The item was for noting, it will be noted as such. We will then proceed to item 58.3. Dr. Botman.
Speaker, I had a proposal right at the end of my questions. I don't know if you're going to entertain that.
Just repeat that proposal again.
Speaker, yes, in terms of our oversight responsibility as council and guided by provisions of the MFMA, it's incumbent upon us to ensure that these matters are not only interrogated but internally, but where necessary, brought to the attention of relevant oversight authorities. I therefore propose that the concerns and questions raised in this report be formally referred to National Treasury for consideration, guidance, and where deemed necessary, further intervention in supporting of strengthening financial governance with the municipality. Secondly, that such referral be made through the appropriate channels, including the Office of the Speaker and the Municipal Manager, to ensure compliance with legislative and administrative protocols.
Is this something we can do, dear?
Honorable Speaker, the recommendation of the document says, immediately we note the document definitely will go to National Treasury. And we will be having a meeting next week with the whole team of Mangaung on the 6th of May with the National Treasury. All of us will be in the National Treasury. Definitely, Honorable Bothma will raise this thing and emphasize them, because definitely this time National Treasury, they also invited me as an MMC of Finance to be part of that meeting, not only officials of Mangaung to be part of the meeting. I think they want also to give us questions and to check that what is exactly Section 8 is doing in terms of fightings or mitigation, things such as you raise in this council. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Councillor Viviers.
Thank you very much for allowing me, Speaker. I have seconded Councillor Frans Botma, and thank you for the Honourable Deputy Mayor. Here's the predicament, so please allow us to vote on the proposal. Only this standard report is sent through to National Treasury, and there's nothing wrong with the report. But everything that we mention here, each and every political party, whoever it may be, never reaches National Treasury. And that is what Councillor Botma is proposing, that we give them the full picture here. And that is why I would humbly request you, if in order, the proposal is made, let us vote on it. If it goes through, then we attend to that to what is going through to National Treasury as Councillor Botma has proposed. If we are thrown off the table, well, it's then sent in the normal way that it's normally sent. Thank you very much for allowing me, Speaker.
Councillor. The proposal is good.
On a point of order.
Okay.
Please, if amendments are made in this council, you always do it. You are the chairperson of this council. Doesn't matter if someone agrees on the proposal or not. You put it to a vote if it is seconded, and then majority rules. And that is why I'm saying I honestly cannot see how you will not allow it now today, where in the past you have always allowed it. It will not be correct to not allow a vote on this proposal. Thank you.
I can make an exception, but be mindful of the fact that the item was only for noting. Council Whip, is this something that the Trojka can look at and considering the proposal of the councillor here? Is it something difficult?
Speaker, I think what is being indicated here, to answer your question very simple, this is pure administrative work, of which us as politicians, after playing an oversight over it, it is not a question of if, it's a question of it has to, it's a must, that it must be sent there. So I don't see the necessity of us as the council now wanting to encroach into the administrative responsibilities instead of playing on oversight. We know that the report, after it has been noted, it is stipulated in terms of the statute that it needs to be submitted to National Treasury. So but maybe we are amenable to any suggestions that can be posed. We can look into it at the level of the WIPARI and then go back to the Trojka and therefore finalize on this particular matter. But I'm afraid that we must not encroach into administrative issues.
In 2 minutes.
No, I've been provoked. I hear that you are going to meet the Treasury. Can you also remind them to give Caesar what belongs to Caesar? Please. Mangau.
Okay, Councillor Kotze.
Thank you, Speaker. Just the request, because the council whip said that they will deliberate and come back to us. Will it be in order with the Deputy Executive Mayor, if we as the DA send all these questions to our representatives at National Treasury, especially our Deputy Minister of Finance? Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, councillors, I think we have exhausted discussions, and the points that you have raised are valid points. So let's not spoil the good work that we have done. I think the council whip has enlightened us by bringing to our attention that this matter can be a matter that can be looked at for further implementation at the level of Trojka, where the city manager sits. We really don't have to take a formal resolution here that this matter must go. It must be brought to the attention of the National Treasury with those recommendations that we have made or pointers that we have raised, Councillor Botma. So I want us to conclude discussions here. Maybe what you can do is to send forth the concluding part of your proposal, so that we can capture exactly the way you have coined your proposal.
Acceptable, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. May we now step off this item and proceed to the next item, which is item 58.3. And you are next, Councillor Botma. If you can speak in Afrikaans or Sesotho, I just want to test if our translators are concentrating here.
Thank you, Speaker. Now I'll do it in English because I think that is how I've been brought up especially my role as CFO. But anyway, again, through you, Speaker, to Deputy Mathae, we had this item as well. It was well prepared, well presented, and to my knowledge and my experience, it is actually conforms to all of the legislative requirements. But again, there's just a few questions that I need to put on record. Firstly, on governance and compliance failures, a report is very much on fair, equitable, transparency, and competitive. But now, how does the administration reconcile this claim with lack of contract management, especially, and undefined roles as well? And second, why has this municipality failed to implement a functional contract management system, despite being a legislative requirement under the MFMA? And can the accounting officer confirm that the municipality is fully compliant with sections 111 and 112 of the MFMA, given these gaps? The bid committee functioning, the report indicates that the bid adjudication committee failed to form a quorum on 2 sittings. What were the consequences of these failures and service delivery procurement problems that we actually counted from that? How many procurement decisions were delayed or compromised due to the non-concurring meetings? Procurement performance and efficiency concerns. What is the average procurement turnaround time and how does it comply? Try to look at it. It seems like 7 to 9 months from the information that I could derive from the tables, and this is unacceptable. That from specification to adjudication, it takes 7 to 9 months. My question is why these delays? Excessive use of deviations. The report reflects multiple deviations as exceptional cases. And I've mentioned in our Section 80 committee that worries me that often citing one sole supplier or historic dependence. How many of these situations are the result of poor long-term planning rather than genuine emergencies? What steps have been taken to reduce reliance on sole suppliers and avoid tender lock-ins? That is, like Vodacom, Caseware, etc. Why has the municipality always allowed long-term dependency, over 30 years in some cases, without market testing or competitive bidding? What is the independent oversight exists to ensure deviations are not being abused to bypass competitive procedures? Contract management collapse, that's a big one for me. I ask, only 19% of contracts are being monitored monthly. How can council be assured that the remaining 81% are delivering value for money? Which departments fail to submit contract monitoring reports? It must be 80% of the departments. How many contracts are currently underperforming, non-compliant, and at risk of failure? What financial losses or inefficiency have resulted from weak contract oversight? The contract management is a big question for me. Transparency and reporting failures. There is not much on that, but the report acknowledges limited visibility and poor data accuracy. How is council expected to exercise oversight under these conditions? Why are contract records not up to date in municipal systems? That's the municipal system that's been lacking. Then with fully digitized transport, transparent supply chain management system be implemented. When will this be implemented effectively? The municipality has awarded 150 panel procurements in a single quarter. What is the controls in place to prevent abuse of this panel system and to avoid open tender processes? How is fairness ensured in the rotation of panel service providers? What percentage of total procurement spend is now being channeled through panels instead of open bidding? Open bidding, it should be the answer. Inventory and asset management concerns. The report indicates low stock turnover. We actually saw there is no dominant stock reported. Now, how credible is this given aging infrastructure? That is the question. And now, and known inefficiencies. Financial and value for money concerns. Most contracts are reported rights-based without clear total values. How does Council assess affordability and fiscal risk under this model? How does the municipality ensure that the value for money when pricing is not clearly quantified? Then, just to conclude, what assurance can be given to the residents that the supply chain management process are not enabling wasteful expenditure, illegal procurement, and corruption risk? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Botma. Councillor Vivier.
Thank you, Speaker. The Freedom Front Plus would like clarity on several supply chain management matters relating to deviations, outsourcing, governance control, and possible irregular expenditure risks. Deviations, sole supplier procurement. Why is the municipality repeatedly relying on deviations and sole suppliers instead of open competitive bidding processes? Regarding the SMEs, SA, and Sabernet procurements, what proof exists that these companies are truly sole suppliers? Was any market comparison done to ensure value for money? How long have these service providers effectively been retained through renewals, extensions, or repeated deviations? Has internal audit reviewed these deviations for possible irregular expenditure risk? Outsourcing and consultants. What total amount was spent on outsourced services and consultants during this quarter? Which outsourced service could reasonably have been performed internally by municipal officials? What skills transfer took place from consultants to municipal staff? Why does the municipality continue outsourcing functions instead of building permanent internal capacity? Governance and supply chain management controls. The report states that bid education committee meetings failed due to lack of quorum. Who was responsible for the absence of members? Did this delay procurement or service delivery? What consequence management has been implemented for failures affecting the supply chain management governance? How many contracts are currently operating on extensions, month-to-month arrangements, or after original expiry dates? Risk of irregular expenditure. What percentage of procurements has this quarter occurred through deviations instead of normal competitive bidding? Are any procurement matters from this quarter currently under investigation by internal audit, impact, or the Auditor General? Were any supply chain management processes approved outside prescribed timeline or normal procedures? Supplier concentration and fairness. How many suppliers received repeated awards during this quarter? What controls are in place to prevent supplier favoritism, fronting, or procurement concentration among a small group of companies? Speaker, the Freedom Front Plus supports service delivery, but deviations, emergency procurement, and long-term outsourcing cannot become the normal operating model of this municipality. We request detailed written responses where answers cannot be provided today. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kotze.
Thank you, Speaker. I won't be long. The DA has analysed the supply chain management report till the end of March 2026, and we have a few concerns regarding bids 745A, 744, 744A, 738, 733, and 709. Because if you're going to go and make the calculations, why was 7.4 million spent on VIP toilets? In the previous term with Olilam Lele, it was stated that we will no longer have VIP toilets. Why was a total of 734,288 in 3 months spent on catering, where catering now for council meetings has jumped up to 60,000 rand. That's almost 500 rand a head. Painting of walls for the past 3 months, 1.8 million. Uniforms, 2.9 million spent just on uniforms. Now, Mr. Speaker, if you go and look at the Matlanga Commission, and a word that comes up a lot of times is the manipulation of supply chain management. And we as the DA request from your office and to the office of the MMC for Finance and the HOD for Corporate Services, and maybe the MMC of Corporate Services as well, that the DA be allowed to see the documentation for the mentioned bids. We would like to see the service level agreements for all these bids, all quotations obtained and considered, payment records and supporting invoices, bid adjudication committee minutes and resolutions that were taken on these bids. Mr. Speaker, we are giving you the opportunity, and the MMCs and the HODs to give us this opportunity. If you do not like us to see those documentations, we will refer it to the Auditor General, to our members of the provincial legislature, and our representatives of SCOPA. We are committed to ensuring that public funds are spent transparently in the best interest of residents. Where there is nothing to hide, there should be nothing to refuse. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. That concludes our discussion on this item. Oh, Councillor Mungale, I'm sorry. You are the last.
I don't know why you made me last. You always start with me. Speaker, on the supply chain management, I would like to talk to the Deputy Mayor. Deputy Mayor, you know what I'm going to talk about. The people of Mangaung want their supply chain. They want it. They say it's their supply chain. They are the ones who must benefit out of it. And unapologetically so. Because Johannesburg benefits Johannesburg people. eThekwini benefits eThekwini people. We are expecting that Mangaung people must benefit out of this supply chain. But in the whole documents, I've been reading these documents up until 1 o'clock in the morning. I could not see where you are showing the companies that have been appointed, where are they from? You used to have a nice document that shows local, so that we can be able to trace. But now we can no more trace. Even if the company that has been appointed is not existing, we can't trace it. Last time we traced, maybe I made you angry when I traced another company that was found to be having address in somewhere in India, New Delhi. But I'm not going to do that again, and I'm not going to mention it. I'll whisper in your ears to say, this one address is not from South Africa. Can you help me to find the right address? But the reality here is that we need to make sure that the people of Mangaung benefit out of supply chain, not as some kind of gratitude or favor, but as a matter of principle to say, it's your municipality, you must benefit out of it. You are the ones who are building it, and you are the ones who are voting for us here. We cannot ask them for votes, but they are not good enough in terms of benefiting economically. We will be abusing them and also failing them as the citizens. And I think they've become wiser now. They can no more take anything for granted. And they are also using the slogan that the people with disability are using. That says nothing about us without us. On the issue of deviation, I think the Freedom Front Plus have covered me. That deviation is going to hurt us as a municipality. On the issue of staff, training of staff, I'm going back there again. I sound like a scratch city again. The staff that have not been trained or certified in terms of National Treasury regulations, they are losing out on promotions and future benefits that others are already enjoying. So I'll plead with you, Deputy Mayor, maybe to speed up this matter that the supply chain staff must be certified by a National Treasury. If the challenge is the training course is conducted by National Treasury, that there is a challenge on the side of National Treasury, just benefit the council to know that the problem is not on the side of the municipality, it's on the side of National Treasury, but the municipality have done all the processes that they have to satisfy. The vacancy rate at supply chain, because we also complained about it, and you are only having 80 staff members at supply chain, and your vacancy is standing at 36 vacancies, which is unacceptable. There are many people out there who are qualified, who are looking for employment, and they are losing out on this process. Some are even losing hope, even going to drugs, because they think that education has no purpose. And we are undermining the efforts of parents and those children that have worked hard to be where they are. On the issue of, let me see, I don't want, on the issue of the policy, my friend and honorable councillor, Kondile Peter, told me that we will be able to get an opportunity to review the policy of supply chain. I'm waiting for that opportunity. I'm still waiting, and I'm getting old. I've been waiting, and there seems to be no plan in trying to find, because we need to change that policy so that that policy must be written in such a way that it gives better point system for local people, so that the local people should enjoy the benefit of voting in this particular municipality of Mangaung. Thank you for the opportunity, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Mungale. DM, just before you reply, I think Councillor Mungale is very passionate about local empowerment. Maybe in the next meeting, we should allow him the opportunity to ask the EFF where are they buying their overalls. Is it local? Is it local or what? Okay.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, at least what Councillor Mungali raised is the issues when I was tabling my item to indicate that the executive mayor is on it, particularly for, I said it's for Free State, particularly for Mangaung people, that they must benefit to the economy of Mangaung. It's what I was based on the speech that I spoke about. That is what we are running through to make sure that at least people of Mangaung, they are receiving some work in Mangaung, is what we said. But we must also encourage them to really submit as other people submitted. We can't just give them, but they must go according to all the processes of supply chain. Other issues, honorable councillors, I can reopen the sitting of the supply chain committees and start allowing people to get minutes of the supply chain thing. No, we must go back to MFMA, Uguti, what is exactly saying about honorable councillors to be involved in the committees of supply chain, because immediately we request the names or the documents of certain companies that we applied there. We are entering the space that we are not supposed to enter the space. Now in that one, Honorable Speaker, I won't answer it because I also want to protect myself and I also want to protect honorable councillors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Executive Mayor. The item will be noted as such. I see your hand, Councillor.
I just want to ask a question. We already went through applications for leave and everything, but you mentioned the EFF now. I note that none of them are here today. Was it sick leave or what was the leave? Maybe you can enlighten us. Thank you.
No, I have received a number of apologies from them. So I don't know whether was it coincidental that all of them are not here, but I have received applications for leave. Others range from personal matters, others range between business and other things, but I have indeed received those applications. Councillors, I think that concludes our discussion on this item. May we now proceed to the next item, which is the second item to the last. I've noted the following speakers: Councillor Mungale, Councillor Bodmer, Councillor Peter, Councillor Denner will be the last. You may proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. On this one, I'm not going to speak long because I'm happy about it. My only worry is that there are some letters that are coming from National Treasury that are giving us warnings, Deputy Mayor. Whip of the Council. Okay, you're distracting Deputy Mayor. I'm raising the message. Yeah, Deputy Mayor, I'm saying there are letters that are showing concern from National Treasury with regard to our compliance, especially from 6.3 to 6.14, where it is the Treasury is insisting that we should comply with all those points that they have raised. And the critical one is the consolidation of, I don't know, it's consolidation of accounts, where St. Lake and Mangaung needs to consolidation of collection, where Mangaung and St. Lake needs to collect in a consolidated manner, such that if a person have defaulted in terms of paying Mangaung, Mangaung can also use St. Lake as an instrument that is a pressure for a person to be able to pay. Now, Treasury has been raising this, and they're also threatening us that if we don't comply with it, we run the risk of losing the benefit of participating in the debt relief. So there needs to be a mechanism of making sure that you save us from ourselves on this particular issue, or else we will all be in trouble, because we can take it for granted. People might say it's just another item. No, it's not another item. It's a dangerous item that will end up leading us not to get a salary at the end of the month, and also the community not enjoy the benefit of ESCOM, and St. Lake will also be under a serious financial distress as a result of this decision. And Mangaung must come to the party on this particular matter. That is my humble submission on that particular issue, that it should not be taken as business as usual, but it must be taken as an urgent matter, even if another committee can be established to make sure that we comply with those issues. Let it be. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bodmer.
Thank you, Chair. Speaker. As a starting point, regarding the questions in this report, I am not going to ask questions on the report that was submitted by administration and indicates historic events and not the current situation. As my previous speaker mentioned as well, I'm going to ask questions regarding the letter received from National Treasury dated 16 January, which gives a clear picture of the current situation, and I'm going to just ask questions on where they actually see that we are not actually complying. Firstly, the overall compliance and failure and risk of debt relief. The report indicates that the municipality has remained stagnant at 73 to 76% of compliance since July 2023. Why has there been no improvement over nearly 3 years, despite National Treasury oversight and support? Given all conditions carried equally weighting, and that is the real risk of Mangaung being removed from the debt relief program. Serious question. What is the consequence management that has been taken against officials responsible for persistent underperformance? Can the Executive Mayor confirm whether Council has been fully informed of the risk of losing debt relief benefits? And if not, why? Governance failures, missing Council resolutions that's stated in the letter. Why has this debt relief monitoring plan submitted without a Council resolution, a clear violation of governance requirements? Who authorized the submission of non-compliant document to National Treasury? When will a proper, legally compliant council resolution be tabled and adopted? Does the failure not indicate a breakdown between administration and council oversight? 3. The Eskom debt crisis and payment failure. The report confirms late and short payments to Eskom by Cllr, leading to an increased debt balance. Why is the municipality failing to maintain its current account, which is core conditions of a debt relief? What immediate correction measures are in place to prevent further escalation of Eskom debt? Has Council been informed of the risk of electricity supply interruptions due to non-compliance? Revenue collection and failures. What is the timeline for full implementation of consolidated billing, as my previous speaker said? Why has the revenue enhanced strategy not yet resolved the basic operational failure? Financial reporting and transparency failures. Why does the MFMA Section 71 report submitted to National Treasury not align with the version published on the municipal website? Does the discrepancy not indicate a serious transparency and credible risk? Why is the municipality failing to integrate debt relief compliance reporting into monthly Section 71 reports and as required? Who is accountable for ensuring accurate and compliant financial reporting? Tariffs and financial sustainability. Given that cost-effective tariffs are still in progress, how is the municipality still enduring long-term financial sustainability? When will Council be presented with fully cost-effective tariffs aligned to the MFMA Circular 132? Risk of electricity license. The report confirms that continued non-compliance could lead to the termination from the program, triggering a requirement to engage National Energy Regulator of South Africa, NERSA, on license revocation. Has this municipality conducted a risk assessment on losing its electricity distribution license? What contingency plans are in place should the municipality be forced to relinquish its electricity function? My closing question, given the seriousness of these failures, will Council commit to urge corrective action and enhance oversight, including possible external interventions, ensuring that Mangaung does not lose its critical financial lifeline? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Botma. Councillor Peter.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I thought I'll be the last because there are a number of questions that were raised, so that probably I can try to also assist the DM, if it's fine with you.
No, that's fine. Let me take Councillor Denner then.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the Freedom Front Plus find the monthly report on compliance regarding the MFMA to be a damning indictment of this administration's inability to manage its fiscal responsibilities. National Treasury has explicitly stated that the Mangaung Metro and Cllr did not comply with the debt relief conditions of December 2025, leaving our participation in the Eskom debt relief program in serious jeopardy. I have a couple of clarity-seeking questions. The National Treasury's assessment indicates that Cllr is in a final breach status due to debt outstanding for more than 3 months. Even more alarming is the report showing post-approval debt relief growth of a staggering 1.1 billion. How can this council be expected to just note a progress report when the Metro is actively accumulating over R1 billion in the new debt, while supposedly under a debt relief program? What immediate specific interventions are being taken to reverse this final breach status before Eskom terminates our participation entirely? National Treasury has also noted that the failure to issue a consolidated bill, a critical collection tool, has been persistent for several months. Why has consolidated billing still not been implemented, despite months of non-compliance? And who's being held accountable here? These reports reveal that the Metro Debt Relief Monitoring Plan is non-compliant because it was not accompanied by a council resolution. Why was the Debt Relief Monitoring Plan submitted without a council resolution? Was oversight bypass, or is this an admin failure? Condition 6.3 requires the Metro to maintain its Eskom bulk current account. However, National Treasury reports that Cllr is non-compliant due to late and short payments, and that the total amount owed has increased substantially. How does the executive reconcile its claims of payment with National Treasury's findings of late and short payments, and where are the allocated funds being redirected to? The Metro's compliance has remained stagnant. We're not moving forward here, Speaker. We're sliding into a big financial hole. Please get us answer here for all these failures. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kondile Peter.
Thank you, Speaker. I wanted to say some of the questions here will be responded to in terms of Rule 38 because there are those that needs to be responded to in terms of writing. So, however, I need to just indicate a few things that with regard to the accounts consolidation, we had some bilateral meetings with Cllr. I think it's still going to continue. In our last section 8, I think if Councillor Botham, I'm not mistaken, we spoke a little bit of this matter, but we didn't even expand on that. Like enough, in our midst, we do have the CFO, who's also forms part of the section 8 from Cllr. Now, I need to indicate this matter is getting the necessary attention that it deserves because it's one of the issues that was flagged by National Treasury as one of the requirements for us to be in line with the debt relief for ESCO. However, one needs to indicate that also the letter that you are referring to, Councillor Botham, of January 2026, that will also be addressed in order to explain to you exactly what happened to the issue of the council resolution that was not mentioned or quoted on that response. That will be responded to. And I must indicate those bilaterals are taking place. Sooner or later, we'll be able to brief you in the section 8, especially on these issues that are raised. But those other issues that are raised by Councillor here will be responded to as alluded earlier on. However, I need to indicate that this particular program that we are referring to, I need to just remind councillors that this program is actually coming to an end now in July. However, when we in the inception of this program, it was agreed that it will be attended or handled in terms of phases or cycles or phases. So in the phases, we did very well in terms of compliance. And for that particular reason, I need to remind councillors that the approved amount that was supposed to be attended to was around about 389 million, whereby in the first cycle in Tatemongali, we were able to be assisted with 128 million that was written off by the National Treasury. Subsequent to that, there was also 109 million of interest that was reversed. That was the first cycle. And then we had the second cycle as well, whereby we have even submitted another 129 million with the expectation that 189 million, in fact 128, and then 199 of the interest will then also be written off. But we are still waiting for the response from the National Treasury. But in the last correspondence that we had with them, there was no indication to say exactly we will be punished because we haven't complied with those two elements that we spoke to. But for the fact that this far we have submitted and we have complied, they are able to assist us in the Demolali. Furthermore, we must indicate that the very same amount of money that is actually the reversed, which is the interest, we are able to reinforce it so that we are going to be able to use it effectively. I know there was a question with regard to that to say, what are we going to do with those monies? So now we need to indicate to council that the very same program is coming to an end in July. But however, the administration is attending to this matter through the office of the CFO, city manager, together with the Cllr. So definitely when we in the next ensuing council, we should be able to come and report on this matter to say what is the status quo of this matter. And we also want to acknowledge and really applaud you councillors, because what you have raised is exactly what National Treasury has raised, especially the issue of consolidated accounts in the Tatemongali, because it speaks to the revenue collection, which at some point you also indicated that it's a bit low, we are not collecting sufficiently. But we know once we have dealt with this matter, it will also assist. But councillors should remember that last year we even indicated in October that it was not an easy exercise because we have to engage Cllr in a number of issues to say how do we begin to integrate those kind of accounts in Tatemongali, given the number of issues that we have as the municipality that including amongst others, the incorrect billing and so on and so forth. So we wouldn't want to take this quickly and then at the end of the day, it hits us back again. So hence I've said, we are in bilaterals with Centrelec to engage each other to say, where are we doing the data cleansing and everything, so that when we do this, we don't create more problems, but rather we solve the problem that we have at hand. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. Peter, Executive Mayor, are you fine? Councillors, that concludes our discussion on this item, and it will be noted as such with all the comments raised and the answers given. I want to step off this item and proceed to the last item under the Executive Mayor's reports, which is a progress report on the implementation of the Financial Recovery Plan for the second quarter, 2025-2026. Councillor Botman.
Thank you again, Speaker, and through you to the Deputy Mayor. Yes, we had this financial recovery plan as a very important standing item on our Section 80 Finance Committee. So there is a very urgency here. Overall progress and credibility of the FRP. The report claims 63% of services and activities are completed. Yet the municipality remains under intervention since 2019. This is 7 years later. What measurable improvements in financial stability and service delivery can be directly attributed to these completed activities? Now, many of these completed activities are administration and procedural, rather than delivering real financial or service delivery outcomes. Secondly, our continued intervention and governance failure. Given that the municipality has been under Section 139 intervention since 2019, what has the FRP not yet achieved financial recovery? The finance pillar, the persistent weakness. Why are critical governance actions such as Section 32 investigations, post-audit action plans and contract reviews still working in progress years into the financial recovery plan? What is the status of reconciling land alienation decisions with these office records, and what risk does this pose to municipal assets? Constitutional pillar, capacity and staffing failure. Why has the placement of employees on the new microstructure not been completed, despite being a fundamental reform? What is the cost of delays in implementing the shift system, particularly in relation to overtime expenditure? Why has an efficiency audit staff utilization not been completed? What is the total outstanding pension fund contributions, and why has this critical obligation not been resolved? Does the municipality currently have the institutional capacity to implement the financial recovery plan effectively, or is this a key reason for the slow progress? Financial management pillar, sustainability risk. The current report shows a 1.2 billion rand outstanding debt. How much of this unspent conditional grants unconditional grants or ring-fence funds, and how much is actually available for operations? Despite improvements, the collection rate is only 84% to 74% in March, and it actually fell from to 74%. What is the financial gap created by the remaining 26% non-collection? Why has there been no tangible progress in the revenue collection collaboration framework, which was due in July 2025 already? How many consumers are still not being billed for water? And what is the estimated revenue loss? How credible is the claim of financial improvement when majority liabilities like Eskom debt remain unresolved? Audit readiness and financial reporting. Why is the municipality only now preparing audit working papers instead of maintaining continuous audit readiness? What assurance can be given that the municipality will avoid repeat audit findings? Why is there still a need to improve creditor disclosure of, in Section 71 reports, which are a basic compliance requirement? Service delivery. The report highlights small-scale infrastructure achievements. What percentage of the total infrastructure backlog does this not address? With only 25.5 million allocated against the 190 million roads maintenance need, what is the municipality addressing to massive infrastructure funding gap? Why is the water master plan not finalized, despite being 95% complete? revenue and debt collection failures? Why are credit control measures still in progress when revenue collection is central to financial recovery? Financial recovery plan effectiveness. How many of the 275 financial recovery plan activities are overdue or behind schedule? What consequences management is in place for non-performance on the FRP deliverables? Has the financial recovery plan been reviewed or revised to address persistent failures? And in conclusion, given the ongoing intervention, persistent financial risk, and slow progress on critical reforms, will Council commit to strengthening oversight, enforcing accountability, and demanding measurable outcomes from the financial recovery plan, rather than accepting progress reports at face value? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Botma. Councillor Gotze.
Thank you, Speaker. I believe my colleague here has covered 99% of the questions. I will, however, submit another Rule 38 question formally. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gotze. Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. All protocols observed. The Freedom Front Plus seeks urgent clarity on the 86 activities still in progress and the 16 that have not yet commenced. Government pillars. The report states that the placement of employees on the new microstructure is slow moving and needs to be expedited. How can we hope for a recovery when we cannot even finalize where our employees belong? Furthermore, why is it the activity for the enhancing of communication and exchange management listed as stagnant? If we cannot communicate the recovery plan within our own walls, how can we expect the public to have confidence in this metro? Financial management pillar. We are told that the collection rate has increased to 84% in the second quarter, yet our debtors balance has ballooned to 10.8 billion, up from 10.4 billion just in the same quarter. This suggests our achievements are being outpaced by our failures. Can the city manager clarify why the collaboration framework on collection, which was due in July 2025, has produced no tangible progress to date? Most alarmingly, our Eskom debt has escalated to 1.4 billion rand from a 384 million baseline. How does this administration reconcile the claim of immense improvement in the plan when our debt to the national utility has nearly quadrupled? Service delivery. The report reveals a persistent operating deficit and lack of sustained improvement trends. Why are our water distribution losses still sitting at a staggering 46 to 48%, a figure that has shown no improvement since the plan was approved? The report highlights that 2.6 kilometers of AC pipeline was replaced in the quarter. Yes, the cumulative backlog is 77 kilometers. At this current rate of replacement, how many decades will it take to secure our water infrastructure? Why has the implementation of the pressure and network zone management not yet resulted in tangible reduction of these losses? The report also mentions 25.5 million allocated to potholes, drains and road maintenance, but admits that the total requirement is 190 million rand. Where does this administration plan to find the remaining 160 million rand to address our crumbling road network? Regarding to accountability, the National Treasury role notes a regression in audit outcomes and continued occurrence of irregular expenditure, with 260 million recorded in the 24-25 financial year alone. When will this council see the results of the investigations into these expenditures? Why is the sitting of the Contract Management Committee listed as slow moving when it is essential for stopping the bleeding of municipal funds. The Freedom Front Plus seeks clear timelines when these slow-moving and stagnant activities be moved to the completed section column to the Metro can finally achieve financial resilience, seeing that National Treasury warns that a slow implementation of critical, financially impactful activities has resulted in a municipality remaining in the rescue phase for over 3 years. The residents of Mangaung deserve more than a report that notes progress. They deserve a city that functions. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Mongale.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Dr. Mathae. In Afrikaans, they say, ons gaan nergens bayastadag. We are going nowhere slowly. When you look at the document on the governance pillar, it's funny that there is something that has been raised here, and I want the speaker to take note of it. That there is a column that deals with achievements. There is also a column that deals with work in progress. And when you look at on the achievement, the UIF, unauthorized, irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditure, quarterly reports to the executive mayor and annual to council tabled. We don't only want a checklist. We also want to see the progress in terms of reducing the UIFW. I also want to see it maybe ultimately being completely eradicated. We also want to caution the municipality to be aware that this compliance, approved financial model compliance of section 142, we need to comply with it as a matter of urgency. We also want to make the Metro aware that the section 32 investigations on UIF and W expenditure needs to be expedited, because at the moment, it seems like we are just ticking the boxes. The review of existing contracts against organizational structure and staff to determine duplication of services, we welcome it as it reflects on the report, but we are expecting a report on it, progress report on it, because I think it will also assist and minimize corruption. On the institutional pillar, placement of employees on new macro structure needs to be expedited. We appreciate it. We appreciate it very much. Conduct an efficiency audit and utilization of staff that will assist this municipality to perform optimally. Provide funding plan for filling of advertised vacancy, including the critical vacancy advertised on the 28th of January 2026. That also remains a record, because once you have advertised positions and you take more than 6 months before you fill them, the question is, when you fill them after 6 months, are you filling positions that were advertised? Are you filling positions that were never advertised? What is the life cycle of an advertisement? Optimize the shift system. Oh, this one, we need to find a way of getting LLF to resolve it. Municipality must sit down with organized labor and resolve this matter so that this matter can be laid to rest. Cascading of the performance management system to lower levels to be prioritized. That one will appreciate it can be done. It's a brilliant idea and it needs to be applauded. The arrears portion of employers' contribution to pension funds, here you are killing workers. We need to find a way of resuscitating that particular aspect, because workers cannot go on pension with money that is less than what they are worth. Now, the issue of financial management pillar on the leakages, it is very serious, but we appreciate that the balance is improving, that it is 431 million. And then on activities that you have identified, we also appreciated, Deputy Mayor, that the collaboration part of Cllr and Mangaung, it will be implemented, but we hope that it will be implemented as a matter of urgency. And then I'm happy that Caesar will be given what belongs to him after your meeting with provincial treasury. And he must also talk to their sister structure, which is national treasury, to also give what is due to Mangaung. And then on this one of service delivery pillar, this is where I have a problem. When you go to the Diversdorp Road, moving past Krisani and moving towards phase 6, you'll realize that we no more have street lights there. The poles have been stripped of all the cables, and this is unacceptable. And the fact that in this document on service delivery, we don't see where there is work in progress. I don't know, is it deliberate or it was just an omission, Deputy Mayor, because it's a matter that they must consider, that you must consider that you have not been given a full report on the service delivery pillar. It is not complete.
Thank you. Councillor Tsoledi, you are the last.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, I think with the Council Whip, I would really make a suggestion that perhaps we need to have the debate where we will be debating these issues. Because I think in one of the items that have been presented here, there's a councillor who said we are afraid of debating. We are not afraid of debating, Honorable Speaker. These matters need to be brought here and we debate on them from the budget, also from the FRP. Honorable Speaker, the Metro is under mandatory FRP. Therefore, we are required to report to the Council on the progress made every quarter, and subsequently we are assessed by the National Treasury on the implementation of the period under review. Every period, Honorable Speaker, we submit a report to the National Treasury, where the National Treasury sits. They've got a dashboard where they assess what we have presented as the city. Honorable Speaker, I've listened to a number of questions that have been posed here. Maybe I should just move a little bit from my speech and concentrate more on the questions that have been posed. I just want to also deal with the fact that there is Honorable Councillor who said in the House here, and also in one item, that the Executive Mayor has not registered any significant improvement under from the term when he's here, from 2023 to date. I would really want to demystify that myth, because that is not correct. Since the beginning of the FRP, even in the FRP, it is said that we have registered significant progress, especially on the issues of service delivery, Honorable Mongalo. Let me just take you on the path, Honorable Councillors, just a small one, to remind the Honorable Councillors of the significant improvement that we have made and stop the exaggeration that has been made here in this House. Let's journey together in the service delivery path since the EM arrived 3 years ago. The city currently, when it comes to the water, it attends to 90% of the water leaks complaints within 48 hours. That is contained in the dashboard report that comes from the National Treasury. If you are not doing your oversight, National Treasury has confirmed that. 2, the city attends to 90% of the water leaks complaints within 48 hours. The city has an 18-point strategy intended to manage and lower non-revenue water. 7 of those have already been in an implementation phase. When it comes to the gravel road, we have currently, from the National Treasury dashboard report, gravelled 858 kilometer of roads within the city. We have resealed 12.8 kilometers of the road network. We also respond to 90.9 meters of sanitation spillages within 48 hours. It's in the National Treasury dashboard. You can laugh, but that is in the National Treasury dashboard report. 94.8% of complaints are being attended within the response time. The response time that has been set by this council. That's not me, that's the report of the National Treasury after they've assessed us as Mangaung. Coming also to the issues, when I'm just going to highlight, if we had time, Speaker, we will be going department by department to highlight the improvements since we got into the FRP. Now, let me come. Honorable Mangal, thank you very much for raising. Those policies are already going to be served in a plenary of the LLF. We're supposed to have one on Friday, but due to other issues, that was postponed. The issue on the placement policy, the shift policy, and the overtime policy, they are already on the table of the LLF, and they will be dealt with in the next plenary that is sitting on the 16th of May. Honorable Speaker, let me also, maybe perhaps, just comfort everybody that this report, the FRP report, as we are moving to the third quarter report, that is already presented to us as the champions, there's improvement on it. And trust me, Honorable Speaker, we will be moving out of the rescue phase. We'll definitely, because that's a phase that is more difficult than any other phase. Because Mangaung, before we have the FRP, there were issues that were identified that we were unable to fulfill. Like your systems were almost everywhere. But as I'm speaking today, our systems are consolidated into one space. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, colleagues, councillors. That concludes our comprehensive debate on the FRP. I don't know if the executive mayor would like to make some remarks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think the MMC, Bongitsuleti, put in front of us the assessment that is made by National Treasury. This is the assessment that is not made by all of us here in this council. It's made by National Treasury. Those who are laughing are saying National Treasury is lying. Because Ospongi is not just formulated a report and bring the report here, Executive Mayor. And we want to applaud you, Councillor Mungali, because at least MMC Tsuledi also emphasized that really things that you raise in this council today are the true things that we must really make follow-up as the mayoral committee and make sure that we implement them and implementing them correctly. As Osbongi is indicating that those policies, they are in the discussion phase and they will be concluded in that discussion phase. And those who are laughing, tomorrow they will laugh themselves because this report is not our report, it's the assessment that were given by the National Treasury. Sautibana, Speaker, Nathi sizawuhleka. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Executive Mayor. I hear Councillor Mongale saying we are slowly going nowhere. And what if a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step? And we have taken those steps. And not one, but many of them. No, read the report, councillors. That report is not the report by the Executive Mayor or Meiko, it's a National Treasury's report. Yeah, no, we'll give you that report. We'll give you the opportunity to read that report. I think we have concluded all the debates under the Executive Mayor's reports. Reports from MPEG is none. Injalo Slalo. Reports from the Audit Performance Committee, Aiko none. Reports from the Ward Committee, Consolidated Report, Ikonap. Or is only a summary of those who have submitted. The quarterly reports received from ward councillors, it is attached. Report on SALGA activities. I'm going to make a plea that the city manager must look into this matter because it can't be that every meeting there's no SALGA report. Whilst each and every member sitting here belongs to a working group of SALGA. So we'll have to find some office which coordinates this report. They are sent monthly or weekly, but they are never packaged so that they get to serve for information or noting to the council. Councillor Mwan?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Dr. Mathae. The challenge here on Salga is that maybe you need to get someone just for 3 months, not appoint a person, but amongst your staff, assign someone that will be able to look after the report, not consolidate it, but look after the report, that make sure that there is at least a report of a subcommittee or any committee of Salga that is submitted in the next sitting of the council, so that there should be some kind of progress report. Yes, our names are listed in those committees, but we are never invited by Salga in those committees because some of us are alternates and we can't fight because that is the procedure. You are an alternate, you will only be able to be active when the person who is attending is unable to attend. But we are not fighting for attention. We are crying that the committees must give us information. We must be updated. No, what are the developments? That is all we are saying. And I've made an example about white paper on amendment on legislation that deals with governance of local government. We are unable to make a contribution except to be called to a public hearing. We will be going with community. And as a councillor, when you go to a public hearing with community, it looks like you are a populist when you want a mic, when it's an opportunity for community to say something. Because we have our own structure where we can raise issues. So I'm pleading that, please, with due respect, let the committees help us.
Councillor Tuledi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Ke nahana ke ile ka laolwa ke moya haholo, Councillor Mongala, because it's here I've written, I think one of the councillors has raised the matter, if it was not you during the debate, on the matter of having somebody to deal with not only Salga, Speaker. I must just report to the council, we are at an advanced stage. From the 1st of May, Corporate Service Department is seconding somebody who is highly skilled. That person will be dealing with all the reports that are coming from the council, including your Rule 38, also plus the questions that the council has been posed by the councillors. So we will be having that person, Honorable Speaker, from the 1st of May moving forward, so that the person assists with all the issues that are behind when it comes to that are coming from the council, including the resolutions. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our discussion on this item. May we then proceed to the next item, which is in committee reports? None. Notice of motion? None. Item 65. Questions asked in terms of Rule 38 of Council Standing Rules and Orders? None. Or you wanted to raise something there, Councillor? Okay, go ahead. You will be followed by Councillor Mhlagaza.
Mr. Speaker, I draw this item on behalf of Councillor Peter Lotriet that was unable to attend this meeting. Speaker, the Democratic Alliance rises today to express its serious concern and frustration with the continued failure to comply with Rule 38 of this Council. In November 2025, this Council took a clear and binding decision. All Rule 38 questions must be answered within 14 days, and strict compliance must follow. Yet today, only 9 out of 65 outstanding questions have been answered. Let us be crystal clear. This is not a gap in policy. This is not a misunderstanding of processes. This is willful non-compliance with a council resolution. The municipal manager who is responsible for ensuring these responses is failing to uphold both the rules of council and the authority of this institution. And Speaker, with respect, enforcement of this resolution falls within your office. No new rules are needed. No further discussions are required. What is required is accountability and enforcement. The few responses that have been provided are incomplete, unprofessional, and show a blatant disregard for oversight and for the role of opposition parties in the Council. We cannot and will not accept a situation where Council resolutions are simply ignored. The DA has exhausted all internal avenues to resolve this matter. We will now escalate this issue to the Department of Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs at the provincial level, and if necessary, to national level. We are also prepared to pursue legal remedies to compel compliance. Speaker, continued inaction will not only deepen this governance failure, it will undermine the credibility of this Council and your office as its custodian. Oversight is not optional, accountability is not negotiable, and the DA will not be complicit in the erosion of democratic governance. I thank you.
Sure, Councillor Mhlakaza.
Okay. Thanks, Speaker, for the opportunity. No, Speaker, I wanted to make a submission on item 63. That is the in-committee reports. Speaker, I am raising a concern in regard to this because I've been noting that every time that item comes before this Council, there are no reports on committees. And to me, I humbly request you, Speaker, as the head of the legislature, can you kindly make an intervention on this matter in sitting down with the chairpersons of the council committees, in making sure that these committees, they sit and also the reports are coming before this council for processing. Because if such is not being done, Speaker, we will be seen as failing on our side as the oversight body before this council. Can you kindly, Speaker, please use your powers as you are empowered by Structures Act and Systems Act, because these oversight committees, your Section 79 and Section 80 committees, some do not sit meetings, like the one of Petitions and Motions Committee. It has never sit even one meeting for the whole financial year. And Speaker, in relation to such, because if we are not doing that, things that concerns petitions are things that are a direct communication between the community and us as the council. That is why we humbly request that, can you please make an intervention, Speaker, in regard to that? I thank you.
Mhlekazi, on 6 months ulaba azuyithatha bili. Leyo ukuthi le committee ayihlali on a lighter note, honestly. But I have noted what you are raising, Councillor. Members of those committees are also obligated to request a meeting of a committee. If there's no such a meeting, you really are not dependent on the approved schedule. If a member belonging to a committee feels that the committee is not functional, that person has got the right to either write directly to the council whip on behalf of a party, or write to my office as an individual councillor to make that complaint that this committee has not been sitting. And obviously we cannot have Section 79 committees which do not sit. Equally, we cannot have Section 80 committees which do not sit, because they are chaired by permanent people, permanent councillors who derives an allowance for that purpose. So yes, I agree with you. I'm just not sure whether this is across the board. Some committees are sitting, some may not be adhering to the approved schedule, but I can bet with my last remaining send that some committees are consistently sitting. I have, in this regard, made an earlier request that we will be looking at some mechanism of responding quickly to Rule 38 questions, because in most cases, there's a complaint that Rule 38 are not answered within the prescribed period. And when you speak to the city manager, you'd often say the question was involving many departments. It was not a single department which had to provide an answer. He had to source a reply from technical services. He had to source a reply from Cllr. He had to source a reply from planning and human settlement. And some of them arguably takes longer than the prescribed period. So I would request that your comment be noted as part of what the corporate services would be looking at in providing some person in compiling Cllr reports. We should be looking also at a team of personnel that will respond on behalf of the city manager, prepare or gather relevant information so that the city manager does not have to investigate it on his own, but there's a dedicated team that gathers this information for the signature of the city manager. If that is in order with you, councillors, I want to rest that point at that summary. We have now come to the end of the meeting on item 66. May I take this opportunity just to indicate that the items which were deferred back, we will convene a special council for that matter, so that we can consider all those items which were deferred back, and we will issue a notice for that. May I just invite you for lunch, councillors? It's served at Florid. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.